And everyone, this is another in my series of evaluations of my Folger Tech FT-6 printer. And so in one of the few actual responses I've got from them, in talking about the fact that I've got screw heads that stick above the bed and that the heater does not go to the edge, I got the response that I was overreacting to the fact that the bed was not heated across the entire surface area that they advertised it could print. And having printed plenty of things that go off the edge of the heated print bed on my Robo 3D and peel up, I fully understand the problem with printing something that's not uniformly heated. So I decided I would do some evaluation. So what I have here is my little thermocouple probe, and I'm sitting here monitoring the bed. Now I have it set to 80, so this is ABS type temperature as opposed to PLA, but certainly something that this bed is supposed to be able to handle. And so you can see that we are bouncing 79.8 right now, 79.5. It was actually regulating a little higher. It was bouncing between 80 and 82. Now it seems to be at the center regulating a little closer to the 80-degree mark. So it's been running for a good 10 or 15 minutes, so it should definitely be thermally regulated. And I'm going to go through and actually do a grid, but I will start with, now that we know the center's at 80 degrees, we're going to come over here to just off the edge. Now I tried using, I actually have an infrared sensor, and the interesting thing was the infrared, if you pointed at the aluminum, would not work at all. If you pointed to a piece of tape on the aluminum, it worked pretty well. And what I ended up with, though, was that it couldn't average well across the edge. Now, let's see where we're at now. I'm at 58 to, I don't know how much of this is contact. It actually seems like it's oscillating just that much as the temperature is varying. That's how much it's going up and down off the edge of the bed here. So that's pretty incredible. So right now we're close to the 80. Maybe I just made better thermal contact, so we're getting higher. It was sitting down at 58, so maybe that last little time I touched it. Yeah, see, as I put my finger on it, it cools off quickly because my finger's actually drawing the heat away. So we'll let it sit. So this is going to take a little while to actually go through and check the grid. So this is actually pretty close to what I saw when I tried it at 50, is that I'm getting about a 10% reduction at the edge. And so it's not horrible, at least at this point. Now this is, again, the very center, so this is going to be the best possible edge point. We're going to go out to the corner here. So yeah, so this is tracking very nicely with my earlier test that I had done, just as a quick check, where the 50 C setting was running about 45 or so, maybe a little less at this edge. And of course, I'm not going to the very edge. I'm sure if I came out to the very corner, it probably would be worse. And we'll try to get that on. And we're slowly coming up, 62. And that looks like where we're topping out. 64 degrees. So now we're 15, so we're 20% below where we should be. And that's going to be the problem. Like I say, I'm going to go ahead and grid this out, and we will see what this looks like. But this is, of course, if I do it right, it looks like an 8, but it's really a 6. That's just the camera and this cheap little display. So I'm going to spend some time and get a matrix of points, and I'll plot up a graph, and we'll see what the temperature profile looks like. Alright, so here you have the data. I was not, as I got into this, I was not really willing to spend the time. It's actually pretty hot up here, so this is with a nice warm room too. But running this test, I started going across the end and was going to go and do a full grid, and decided that there was really no point. The 1/4 of the grid will tail the tail, as you can see from the numbers that I had captured to begin with. But what you're seeing is that the corners were at about 64. In the center of the short edge, we get to about 69. And the center of the long edge, about 72, maybe 73. I was trying to kind of pick the average of the points, so it might hit 73, but just barely. The interesting thing is that as I deviate from the center, so halfway between the center and the edge, we're actually down to 77, 78 or so on the short edge. But at the edge of the long side, even though we're still well inside the material, we're down to 74 degrees. And so we're already losing quite a bit, even though we're over the heater. So it's no wonder as you fall off of it that it's going to go down. And at the corner, even though I'm still on the heater, at the corner of the heater, I'm at 73. So, it's no wonder the corner is really 64. So, like I say, aluminum's a good conductor, so I'm sure if I compared this to what I could do on the glass bed, it's certainly better. But it's by no means uniform. And so your uniform area, you can certainly survive a few degrees of variation, but certainly 20% is going to be an issue.